PC screen, and nothing special in it really. But this is my story that I'm working on. Now I figured that if I make an ASMR video of me like reading through some of the pages, I want to see how that performs. Just to see if I should do it again, because this is very different to what you're used to. But I'm just sort of experimenting. So I am going to be reading the first, reading up to about to page 10, I'd say. So it's very long. Actually, this video, well, depends how fast I read. Yeah, so this story, I'm not going to explain too much what it's about. However, it's very sci-fi. If you're not used to sci-fi, that's absolutely fine. Like, you're just here to hear me talk, the whispering, not necessary to get the story. Feel free to follow along. However, that isn't my main goal of this video. At least not yet. It may change, it may not. So, without further ado, let's get started in Secrets of Mora. Mora, by the way, is the organisation that this entire novel revolves around. It's an acronym for the Multiversal Ordering of Realities Alliance. Quite a mouthful, which is why I just kept it as Mora, because I think it sounds, A, it sounds cool, and B, it's just, oh yeah, it's a good name for an organisation. Mora, well, it's up to you. If you think it should be changed, if I should change it to something else, then again, let me know. But I shouldn't. I mean, I'm quite happy with it, just saying. But feel free to make any little suggestions. So yeah, these are the contents. So I am going to be reading chapter 1, which begins on page 7, because the reason it begins on page 7 is because there's a little snippet before. So I'll read the snippet and chapter 1, so I might get on to page 17, up to chapter 2. So yeah, by the way, this is quite new. This page of contents, I'm going to have to update it because I'm adding lots more, so that the page numbers are going to have to change. So yeah, this is just like for my own kind of personal reference, because yeah, I'm basically kind of like redoing it halfway through, but it'll make sense later on. So here we go, the starting quote. Reality is what you make it, but no matter how unique it is, an inescapable system is followed. A system that is required. They all have a promising genesis, a tale to determine, and then they meet their ultimate demise. However, there is one reality, one that has defied the system, one where this pattern is not followed. There is a reality. There isn't a reality, merely a cluster of memories and various aspects of imagination all blended together to fabricate a realm of splendour and love. But at the heart of it is grief, destruction, terror and strife. It's all an illusion. Hector Jonathan Jetson, ex-employee of the Multiversal Ordering of Realities Alliance. By the way, feel free to turn your brightness down, because I get it's quite bright. I might just put on eye saver mode so it doesn't hurt my eyes, because I'm reading in the dark. So we go straight into the action. No, don't you even think about it. Stop denying the truth. You know it's not fictitious. I vigorously shook my head from side to side. He couldn't be. I kept trying to convince myself. You're lying, I yelled. Look at him, Hector. Take a nice, long look. I painfully tried to resist knowing that he wasn't incorrect. I would never have let him feel the sweet taste of victory over me. He went on. You're saying it's false, and yet you refuse to stare into the eyes of the truth. eyes would not even flinch. I just glued them straight down at the illusory ground of this illusory courtroom, praying for a miracle that would get me out of this torture. It wasn't enough. My neck was slowly set in motion by it. Up it went. Up, 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 cracking in the process as I tried to fight back. That's it. Keep going. He let out a devilish snigger. No, 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 please, no. I'll do anything, anything. Just please don't make me. No, 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 no. The centre of my peripheral vision was now fixed to the back of his head, his notorious hat perched on top. Who are you? I whispered to myself. What are you? Not a word left its mouth, if it even had one. Why do you refuse to look at me? I said, this time with more force. Why won't he answer, Deltas? That's a question I'll let you ponder over, Hector. By the way, apologies if my grammar isn't the best. I mean, I've tried to make it as fancy as possible, but I am only, well, I'm not that old, so cut me some slack. So here we go, Chapter 1, Mora. Your interest in this book is already valued deeply, as you appear to have made the effort to pick it up and give it a try. As a matter of fact, you seem to be the first person I know who is at all interested in what I have to say about the darkness that would have completely and utterly obliterated you if it weren't for... I'll tell you later. I'm Hector, by the way. Nice to meet you. Well, not that I, exactly know who you are. Just the person who's reading these words. Nice to meet you. Back in my teenage years, I was employed by an organisation known as the Multiversal Ordering of Realities Alliance, or MORA, as it's abbreviated to. Well, I say it was an organisation, but it wasn't an organisation. It was an empire. Billions and billions of universes and realities, even ones which had never even been occupied yet, were conquered and loved by Mora. Mora prospered, were known to many, and were cherished by many, as a result of their many virtues. It was happy days. That is until they came and destroyed and stole and ripped and smeared every nook and cranny of every universe, of every multiverse, with its evilness. They were inhumanely blasé about their evil deeds they conducted throughout the universes. Sometimes I even wonder whether Mora was any different to them. There should be a little double space there. They technically did the same. Mora destroyed planets. Mora stole universes, ripped up cultures and pacified all entities that stood their ground against them as a means of satiating their ever-growing stomach of greed. Everywhere you went was coated in Mora's symbol, or name, or its reality guards, all in the name of money. And it was just Mora, Mora, Mora. The ramifications of their unscrupulous activities were felt by Octillians. Only very few vestiges of light could be found anywhere. Double space, sorry. If you're starting a new paragraph which links directly to the previous one, double space, indentation. Just a little geek. I'm a little kind of in a little literacy layout geek, because I've been spending most of my life writing this, well, a tenth of my life. I started last year, but I never did much up until now. However, we were the exact polar opposite beforehand. Mora was a heavy advocate of the concept of equality and colour being in front, behind, to the left, to the right, on top of, underneath, and in between anything you could possibly imagine. It was a moral, purposeful organisation, until its wallet contained nothing but cobwebs, just sending the CEO into total madness. Here's the story of what was once a vibrant, glistening safe haven that was open to diversity and freedom, that morphed into this greedy, money-grabbing, corrupt, careless, capitalist corporate cretin which, when said aloud, has every head turning at you as the name now only translates to death and destruction, and then a thick veil of darkness which swept in to finish the job. This is the secrets of Mora. My oldest recollection of working with the Alliance Macau when I was only around the early ages of 15 or 16. I was in the sorting office, and as the name suggests, I sorted. I put away all the classified mail into their appropriate shelves. I despised it. It wasn't entertaining at all. I would just be doing my job before some numpty came along and fiddled around with the contents of each plastic grey box, messing up the order, which drove my OCD up the wall. However, the only positive thing I got out of being in the stuffy office was that I partially enjoyed the idea of not knowing what was inside those rich, grey envelopes. Heavy emphasis on partially. Perhaps they might have been associated with a salary increase in my department at the very least. Honestly, that's about as exciting as I might ever got to about within the confinements of that place. However, Mora was miraculously tight on money at the time, despite it being in charge of nearly 564 million realities and 1.2 billion universes, according to their databases. And the CEO, my father, wasn't known for giving away salary increases like flowers tossed at a wedding. So I knew that the possibility of that happening would be rather slim. I was also effectively sorted myself by my colleagues. I was sorted by class. My clothing was just old handkerchiefs and pieces of fabric sewn together. My dad never paid me, nor did he give me pocket money, nor did he give me any money, to be perfectly honest with you. And Mum was out of the picture. I was just left with second, even third-hand clothes. I used my very basic sewing skills that I'd obtained from school for my clothes before I dropped out to work full-time for the organisation, as my father demanded it, even though he wouldn't give me one single credit, the currency. True corruption. My school wasn't all that exciting either. It was just a miserable moribund box consisting of 4 cramped floors, each containing 0 colour whatsoever, and an absolute excuse for an assembly hall. It all added up to the depressing feeling. My teachers were 100% useless. They wouldn't help me, and it was palpable that they enjoyed dishing out sanctions towards innocent kids, just for the fun of it. However, impeccably, I still had the desire to stay in school, as it was, quite simply, more enjoyable than being stuck in an empty house. I couldn't do anything, I had no friends, and my wallet was just an empty vacuum. It was a sombre life outside of school. But you see, things started to look up when I started working for Mora. Believe it or not, since I would actually be of some use in the world, hence why I immediately accepted the offer. Homing in on the organisation itself, the Multiversal Ordering of Realities Alliance was the organisation that discovered, named, controlled and ordered realities. It closely monitored what went in and what came out of the infinite facets of existence which are around. Naturally, many people had the desire to work for the organisation because of its immense power. However, practically 98% of them were rejected because the organisation needed people who were the best of the best at understanding how the system works, and the mind-boggling physics of the portal pipes and the transmission signal. If you didn't understand just one sector of quantum mechanics, then you would immediately get turned down, and you would have to do the walk of shame out of the building, or be forced out by a bulky, sweaty, bald security guy, depending on your style. When my father let me have a role in the organisation at 15, I didn't dare complain, as it was such a privilege to be working alongside them, particularly due to my age. Mora's headquarters wasn't situated far from the city of Alphatropolis, the capital city of the world of the founders. Yes, that's what his name was. Don't get me started. In the universe of Alpo 1. See, the HQ is a giant silver blocky donut covered in thousands of enormously long pipes all around that feed from the very edges of the building directly to the centre, or Zero as the Alpha natives refer to it. Trust me, it was the most beautiful building you've ever seen. At the 0 relay the transmission signal. A huge golden beacon of light. Checking the time. Sorry, one sec. Okay. Beacon of light that was fired up to the sky. Without that source of energy, these many realities and universes would have had no direct way of getting to Mora. Sometimes, if you were lucky, and it was a quiet day, you'd be able to hear the beautiful angelic tune emanating from the transmission beacon. It's commonly known as the Song of Existence, which was actually considered quite controversial, particularly during the organisation's latter part of its lifespan. Some people refer to the tune as the Song of Terror or Mora's Anthem. It was caused by the wind blowing gently against the titocrystasium particles which made up the pipes, causing them to gently vibrate. Mora's headquarters were filled with thousands of identical rooms and portals, all leading to a completely different reality. The organisation's job was simply just to find more realities to discover and warn us about before Greed kicked into overdrive, and they did a lot more than just that. Each room had a connecting portal pipe, which then connected to the transmission beacon for the portal inside the room to work. And because they were portals, they were dangerous, which is why almost every single door in the HQ was made up of 5 inches of solid iron. Oh, and you also needed almost every single form of ID that existed just to get to stage 2 of accessing the least dangerous portal room. The doors themselves are made of condensed titanium. Don't ask me how it's even a thing, to really maximise the safety of everyone. One broken door and all the local universes are at risk of tearing to a quintillion pieces. Okay, maybe not that serious, but I should hopefully imagine I've made my point clear and incontrovertible. The portals were gorgeous. Rich, creamy grey joists surrounding the mysterious entrance with beaming magenta glows screaming in your eyes around the edges, and an ominous blood-red button at the top of the door, and an emergency lever on the left, just in case something, doesn't quite go as planned. Which is pointless if you ask me, as he would have already disintegrated into 42 decillion particles. That or that one trainee who likes to pull everyone's hair out by accidentally fiddling with things goes ahead and pulls it by accident. In terms of the whole discovering reality side of things, there is a complex scientific process, but here are the fundamentals. The way Mora discovers realities is this. They launch detectors into space, which search for a packet of a foreign energy pattern dotted around in the universe. If something has been picked up, a signal is sent back directly to HQ, and the people in the front deck start fighting over whose detector first registered what first. Not really. The chief commanders order the deck's analyzers to conduct a series of tests to figure out what they should do with this abnormality. If the concentration of energy is high enough, they fire an energy strand from the transmission beacon to the pocket of foreign energy. Think about when thousands of realities are being discovered simultaneously. There was an entire cobweb of strands coming from the centre of the HQ most of the time. The radioactive tridide ions held within the strand ionize the surrounding area, decreasing its stability, safely of course. Once there is a high level of instability, a rift will form, more rifts later. Once the rift is fully developed, Mora uses its scoopers to attach to the detector to contain the energy and transfer it through the rift. From here on it's simple. If the energy has been passed through the rift and there is a pulsating glow coming from the rift, both the energy emitted from the rift and the energy discovered by the detectors are identical, meaning Mora has successfully discovered a new reality. And then a portal connection can be established by extracting some of the energy and having it sent to HQ to undergo further tests to make sure it is safe to use. If there is no glow coming from the rift, on the other hand, a universal rift has just been created, and if you travel through it, it'll take you to another area somewhere in the same universe you're currently in. When Mora is successful in uncovering a new reality, if the energy passes those tests which I mentioned earlier, it can then be transported to an empty portal room by Mora's energy transportation automobiles. These get their own separate corridor which runs directly parallel to the ordinary ones. The energy is then compacted tightly within a freshly made portal shell. 4 glowing purple concentration pads positioned at all 4 corners of the room, where the ceiling meets the walls, are angled directly at the pocket of energy. Once the pads are switched on, they'll excite the energy, decreasing its instability. There are 9 individual manipulation points stuck to the walls within the shells, which can be controlled and monitored by scientists. Once the energy is overexcited, a bright white light is emitted from the shell's entrance, shortly followed by the loud crunch of thunder. The manipulation points automatically extract the rift which would have been created. However, and this is where it gets clever, the points will still maintain the characteristics of a rift held within the shell, and are still able to morph the inside of the shell into a doorway to a different reality. So yeah, that's about it really. And if you're wondering how on this planet are you able to find the space for all these discovered realities, well, HQ doesn't just have width, you know, it has a depth, a lot of depth. That should probably be there. You see, if you completely remove the planet and keep Morris building, the HQ will just end up looking like a ridiculously huge funnel shooting directly downwards. Imagine when HQ got converted in law. Never mind. Okay, that was chapter 1. I feel like I read really quickly. I'm sorry. It's just there was a lot to read, and I picked up on some stuff that I probably should have corrected. So, for instance, like where it says decreasing its, hold on, where was it? It was about here. No, yeah. It'll excite the energy, decreasing its instability. I think I was meant to say decreasing its stability, but I'll correct it later on because I'm not sure what I was trying to say there. Anyway, that is chapter 1. I have been talking for like however many hours, what feels like hours, but yeah, I feel like I read so quickly. But yeah, chapter 1 is by far the longest chapter. Yeah, so that was chapter 1. Let me know if you liked the way I read. If you want me to talk slowly next time, then let me know. I'll try my best to talk slower. I really do, you know, my jaw feels a bit tight. So yeah, and that's my story so far. Well, chapter 1. It goes on and 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 on. So yeah, it's pretty big. Let me know if you want to see read more stuff or hear me read more stuff. Feel free to drop a comment, and I will continue with this. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, a like is always appreciated. This is slightly different, so I appreciate if you may prefer me to just go back to the usual stuff, which is absolutely fine. I'm just experimenting, seeing what works. So yeah, see you guys in the very next video. Subscribe if you're new, really helps me out. If you don't want to, fine by me, but it really helps me out. So yeah,